Priests from across the Archdiocese of New Orleans gathered Thursday night to learn about the bankruptcy filing. On Friday morning, Archbishop Gregory Aymond said their work would continue. No parish funds will be used to settle claims, he wrote. It is a pastor's responsibility to decide how parish funds should be used to support parish ministry, and this process preserves that principle.
Those are all separate corporations.
The idea behind bankruptcy is to try to keep operations as normal as possible. But if prior bankruptcies at 21 other Catholic dioceses across the country are any indication, there could be changes here too. Terry McKernan, president of the watchdog website bishopaccountability.org, says victims of clergy abuse might set their sights on something other than money during the bankruptcy process. Church archives are an attractive option.
You will find documents about transfer of priests, accusations against the priests, settlements.
Elsewhere in the U.S., the Diocese of Buffalo filed for bankruptcy in February. Now, Bishop Edward Scharfenberger says 23 priests accused of abuse will no longer be paid, and they'll also lose their health care coverage. Back in 2018, 187 parishes in the Archdiocese of St. Paul in Minneapolis agreed to contribute to a pool of $210 million for sexual abuse settlements. Aymond says he has options if those types of scenarios play out here.
The compensation will come from insurance. It'll come from some of our investments. If there's property that we don't need and we're not using.
Time will tell. Danny Monteverdi, Eyewitness News.
In addition to the other dioceses, at least 3 religious orders have also filed for bankruptcy. Archbishop Aymond says he's been in touch with those other dioceses to see how they handle their cases. He says that the goal is to be fair and efficient. And we will have continuing coverage of the Archdiocese bankruptcy filing. Look for updates on our website, our free smartphone app, and social media pages.